Okay, yo. Okay, this is gonna be a proper quick one because I keep on. Oh my. Okay, okay. This is gonna be a proper quick one because mate, people. One second, let me move my phone so you don't get that buzzing sounds. People are getting really fucking dumb when it comes to talking about AI online. You know, like it's starting to get really fucking dumb, guys. We need to patent up and kind of like learn a bit more. And I don't want to come at this from an angle of like everyone should just move on to AI, because I think that's dumb. What we're seeing with AI is people just kind of getting mad at it, and like there is a justifiable reason to be. Like I said, I'm not like a worldwide defender of AI. I myself am an artist. I'm going through fucking university for concept art and shit. Like I would very much prefer a world where AI is not a thing. I think it is a potentially very, very dangerous bit of software where eventually people will probably get to a point where, you're just gonna have like an algorithm that thinks for you. At which point, we do live in a dystopia. Like I'm in no way defending AI. What I am saying though is that people are getting. I see a lot of people who immediately get super defensive whenever they see stuff about AI online. Like someone will throw up some random shitty AI image, and people will go like, oh, "Yeah, mate, the amount." I mean, sorry, I can literally pull up the exact post that kind of spurred this. Um, yeah, like I don't know if you can see this. I'll leave it there so maybe you can read it. Um, but it's just some guy making he's demonstrating how easy it is, like with a really shitty, really rudimentary sketch, how you can make relatively detailed like AI images. Like, as I think people are very well aware of the fact that AI is like a tool. Like it's the specifics that you feed into it, and the more you're able to kind of like control the outcome, the more it's going to become like a controllable tool that you can produce exactly what you want out of it. um and obviously this is the thing, like AI is a tool in the end of the day. The best, most realistic AI arts you see come out of things normally is from somebody who is an artist themselves, and they're able to kind of touch up the images as they come out. um that normally tends to be kind of the best stuff you see coming out. And I guess the main point I'm trying to go for is that you see a lot of people just throw their hands up and they go like, "This is evil." I mean, in that post, that's the wording that this guy actually used. Like, he's putting in so much effort to make a whole line of work go out. Like, no, no, he's not. He's not doing that. Somebody making AI art is not doing that at all. Um, because the truth of the matter is, it's a Pandora's box kind of situation where it is already out there. It already exists, and it is idiotic to sit there and keep on doing this whole like, well, AI will never do this. The truth of it is, AI will eventually do it. It's not a case of like, can it do? It can. Any like most things you can think of, it can do, and it will do very soon. Sitting on your hands and kind of going like, oh, like it's never gonna do this. It's never gonna be as good as me. Like, you're hoping for a miracle. You're hoping for a miracle if that's your genuine stance, and you're gonna sit there and go like, you know, the best thing you can do is, and obviously, again, I cannot stress enough how much I'm not trying to defend AI here. This isn't a case of defending AI. It is very much just a Pandora's box situation. It's already out there, and then getting frustrated at people for using a tool that's going to give them a leg up. That's the same as getting frustrated at people, old mathematicians getting frustrated at people who brought out calculators. Like, you see the comparison here very, very soon, and we're already seeing it, with especially like younger generations and stuff that are coming up. People don't give a fuck anymore. They don't give a fuck. You do have a lot of people out there that genuinely don't give a shit if it's AI or not. This whole like moral grandstanding where it's like, no, 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 like AI is immoral. Like, we can all sit around and say it is and it isn't, but the truth of it is that 3 or 4 generations down the line, people aren't going to care anymore. They're not going to care, and it will all be AI. So you're you're not thinking very long term. Um, yeah, and I just think it's not very, like, the way people are dealing with it is not very bright. Sticking your head in the sand and pretending it doesn't exist isn't a very smart way of going about it. Now, obviously, there are moral questions in AI that are worth pondering and worth talking about. The whole thing of like, if to get it to recreate someone's art style, you need to feed them all of their works, potentially in a very illegal sense. um, that's not very good. However, if you look at the situation we're in, we're already in a situation where most AI models, if you write in a even remotely popular artist and go do it in their style, it has already siphoned enough information from their art styles that it can recreate them. Now, this is where people need to get a bit smart about AI. It's not an easy topic to talk about, especially with the state that they're in. Like AI is at a point where no individual person knows how the entire code of an AI works. Like, it is a room of people who know how bits of it work. It's very quickly getting to the point where, an AI is unfortunately more complex than any individual person. It is becoming more complex than even rooms filled with people. Um, you know, very bad. Personally, I believe very, very bad, because you get to the point where the ability to take action against it becomes, or to manage its code becomes infinitely harder. The more you need to have, almost people management systems in place just to be able to do anything. That's always going to slow down your kind of reaction speed to it if you can't just have one person who knows it inside and out that can do anything on reaction. Um, but like, I see this a lot where like, especially animators and stuff are kind of the next bastion of AI at the moment, where you've got a lot of people pointing out really bad AI animation because it's not the best at doing that at the moment, and going like, see, AI's never gonna do animation well. It's never gonna do video well. It's never gonna make video games well, because that's the other thing we're seeing now, is that you see people come out and like, we're very well aware it's not part of the debate that at the moment the animations, for the most part, there are some people who can put enough time into them, make them look decent, but for the most part the animation's pretty shitty, and for the most part the video games that are created by AI are pretty shitty as well. However, again, as we've seen with the development of like image AI, it will eventually do it. It's an not unmovable, it's an unstoppable force, that kind of thing, where like it's sitting there and going like, it's never gonna make video games. No, no, no. Like, there will be a day when one person at their computer can go like, make me a Dark Souls style game. Here's a story in like a fucking spreadsheet I've written up. Um, I'd like you to do this in, say, X other style. And then there's going to become a point where there's like weirdly meta versions of that, where you end up developing almost like your own language to feed into the model to get more specific results for it. We already see that kind of thing happening with current AI models. And that's the important part of it being like a tool. Like, you need to develop like a very specific language that you feed into it to get results out. You see a lot of people go like, oh, AI is so easy, and it's definitely a shitload easier than picking up a pen. Like, it's definitely a shitload easier than that. But you see a lot of people where like they're not very good at using it. It's a tool. They can get pretty impressive results, but it's the same as like looking at a decent artist. They're not amazing, but they're decent. While there are people who can pick up AI development tools and get way better at them. Is it easier than picking up a pen and drawing a masterpiece? By fucking far. But most people can't do it still. Most people they don't have the time or effort to sink into it. So all you're really seeing is the actual time commitment and the barrier of entry to being an artist getting way, way lower, meaning way, way more people can be artists. Soon, way, way more people are going to have an ability of a much higher level to develop games, to develop animation. It's something that is just going to become way less centralized and way less skill specific. The time dedication it's going to take for a person to go, I want to get good at animation, is going to drop way down. It's probably going to like cut less than half, like a third of the time that you spend now learning to be like a good animator eventually will be the amount of time it takes you to become like a master class animator by using AI tools and image generation. Um, and this is what I mean by the question shouldn't be about like, is it gonna happen? Like, the answer is yes. The answer is yes, it's gonna happen. The amount of fucking Instagram comments, Instagram threads. I really should not be on threads. Holy fuck, people are. Instagram threads is actually the best. Like, if you want to look at the like dead internet theory, herald Instagram fucking threads, because that thing is the shining example that nobody is real online and everybody is fucking lobotomized. I'm convinced I walk out of my home and every other person around me has actually undergone a lobotomy. It's the only explanation. Um, you know, but I guess that's what I'm saying by like, if you're a developing artist now, it is, even if you don't want to make AI art, right? Like you don't want to be an AI artist, it is short-sighted, I think, to not at least pay attention to what they're doing and pay attention in like a genuine fashion. Like I understand the moral stance of like I don't want to feed into it, I don't want to give them money. That's all good, but pay attention, keep your head on your shoulders, and just be aware of what it's capable of doing, and kind of think forward and go like, what and when will it be able to do things at a more impressive scale? You know, um, instead of just getting mad about it all the time, because it's just a waste of your fucking energy. You know, like it is just a waste of your energy. We've already seen what's happened with the image generation AI, and as I was just talking about, like any major artist now, I think you can just type in their name and it will be able to generate images in their style to a relatively decent degree. And obviously, again, give it another 10 years, it will start doing it to a very impressive degree. You know, like this is what I mean by like it's only going to get better. It's only going to get a lot better at quicker and quicker rates. But we're already at a point where like you can't really remove that from those AIs. Even if we have this whole moral debate of like, should it be allowed to take inspiration off of these images? It's already done that. It's already fucking done that. It's at the point now where there's probably enough AI art generated from the machines already that you could refeed that into AI tools with obviously like a vetting system to go like, this is a shitty image. The woman's got 6 fingers. Don't, stop doing that. Um, but like there will be a way to train these models off of the art that they have already generated to only make them better and better and better. Um, we're already at a point where I don't really think we can take away its ability to mimic other people's art styles. I think it's already past that. It's already like, even if you remove the original images from its code, it is still going to I mean, hands down, they're going to develop a way to still allow it to do those things. They're never going to give up on such a major selling point of these devices. And as we've seen, the the war is kind of lost. Like it's not really like governments and industry are on the artist side. Like they're very very much on the side of like, yeah, AI's pretty like, it cuts down our costs so much that we're not gonna not pay attention to it. We're still gonna keep an eye on it. We might make a whole moral thing about like we still pay artists now, but like give it 10, 15 years when AI has progressed even more and is even better and is even cheaper, they're not going to stand on those morals anymore. This is the thing I keep on seeing with people where they seem to get this weird idea that like there's a good company out there. Look at this games company. Look at this X Factory. Look at how all the ethical and moral ways they do things. You need to keep in mind. You need to keep in mind when looking on a global scale when it comes to industry in any sort of field. They only do that because standing on those morals now is profitable. If there becomes a point where using Iranian slave trade is so unbelievably profitable that if you become it becomes public knowledge that you're using Iranian slaves to, manufacture goods, art, whatever, it doesn't matter, that it is so unbelievably cheap that having that be public knowledge won't make a sizable impact in your profits compared to the amount you're saving from using Iranian slaves to make shit. Companies are going to use Iranian slaves. Like, don't get it wrong. All of the, even companies that previously were like, we stand on the fact that we hire locally sourced people, we hire free range people. We won't ever do slavery because current morals today dictate that we don't. That doesn't mean they won't in the future. And there's no such thing as a good company. Every company is out there for money. No company is your friend, and they will switch up on you. I keep on seeing idiotic shit like this. I remember when Procreate, I think, I can't remember. I wasn't using it at the time. I think it was Procreate or something, but they went from like a one-time payment model to like like a monthly subscription or something, right? And it was very clear that what happened is just within the company they had gone, we have built enough money and favor off of people by being the quote unquote good company in this field that we can now siphon more money off them by making it a monthly subscription, like other software in the field. And I remember talking to a few of my like artist friends at that point, and they were like personally insulted that the company had done this. It was like a friend had betrayed them. And I had to look at them, and I remember one of my mates got really mad at it, and I was like, you shouldn't have expected them to be your friends. At any point, a company will flip on you. if it is more profitable for them to do so at any point. It doesn't matter how much you like the company. It doesn't matter how much you like the company in the current state. You must be aware that the entire landscape is only in the current state now. It will, and it will probably always change without your interests in mind, almost always directly against them, because that tends to be where profits lie. Um, you know, everyone wants to be paid more. Everyone wants to be paid more. Everyone wants to take more profits home. That's all good, but like that's not good for a CEO, you know? And like you can get into the whole moral debate of like whether CEOs are evil and this kind of shit. That's not what I'm talking about here. I honestly just don't give a fuck. But you do have to keep in mind that they will always flip on you. There is no such thing as a good company in any field. Um, we even see this with charities to a large degree. The amount of them that are like funneling and using loopholes to like take home money and stuff like that. There is not a single industry that's safe. Morals within companies only are there because it is more profitable to have them than to not have them in whatever current state they're in. And that is the most important thing you must keep in mind. I mean, that's what we're seeing with AI at the moment, is that it's just far more profitable to be immoral than to try and make crazy AI through like a more moral route. Um, you know, so I think it's just really important to always be aware, like that you've got to keep your head on a swivel. Things are changing. Things are changing fast. I mean, dig what I fucking know. Like the idea of going into any of the industries, game development, art, fucking concept art, whatever I'm doing at the moment, all of them are pretty bleak. Like or none of them are looking the most promising, especially on the games development side, where it's like the millisecond you start getting AIs to develop remotely decent kind of games, that's gonna be a big shock to the games industry. I think that's gonna be a massive shock because you just look at the amount of money that big companies are willing to spend on games. Like games are clearly profitable right now, so a lot of companies are very willing to sink shitloads of money into them. Obviously, that's arguments be made that that's failing at the moment. It's not doing too well. A lot of companies are kind of feeling repercussions of spending 400 to 200 million into a game and trying to like recoup losses on that. But that's like that's like the perfect situation for someone to then adopt AI, because all of a sudden someone comes up to you and they go, we can make your game in a tenth of the cost, if even that, a tenth of the manpower. um that's they're not going to say no to that. Like I don't believe they're going to say no I don't believe EA is going to stand there and go, no, 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 we're going to pay a ginormous development team because that's the correct thing to do. They're going to take up the AI tools, and they that money that is then put into them, which is going to make them more profitable, is going to incentivize the development and research teams to make them even better. Which is a point where as soon as it breaks into the field in any form, that is going to sink enough money into them that is going to spearhead and skyrocket their development to the point where the second it comes in, when you see a lot of people, and just keep your mind on this because this happens all the fucking time with AI, all these people that come out of the woodworks where they're like, it's going to take AI, like it's just made the first remotely decent looking image. It's going to take 10 to 15 years still to start making remotely kind of semi-realistic imagery, or be able to like handle styles in an interesting fashion to the point where like you can fool people, you can get people to look at them and be like, yes, this is an interesting piece of art, psych, it was an AI. Like we're at that point now with a lot of images where people who are not almost like trained against viewing and spotting AI can be easily fooled. And that's a really bad point, because to them, what's the difference between normal hand painted art, like art, and AI art? There isn't one. There just isn't one. If you can't fucking tell, there isn't one. And yeah, this is what I mean by like we're in a situation where people are literally training themselves to be able to spot this shit. Because think about your fucking parents. Think about the people who are on Facebook and they're seeing like what was that fucking crazy video where it was like shrimp Jesus? The like all the shrimps had like fucking crawled together to make Jesus, and you had like a ton of boomers that were just like, mate, praise Jesus, this is crazy, I can't believe shrimps did this. There are people out there that the most egregious AI videos you see now seem absolutely real to them. Anything that is in a video, how could that possibly be fake? We're already at that point. You've got to assume that there is someone dumber than you always, because it's a food chain. There always is. There's someone above you and there's someone below you, and eventually it's going to get good enough to trick the guy below you, and he's going to give them money, which is going to eventually allow them to make it better than you can see. Always. You've got to keep that in mind. Anyway, little rant on AI art. That's over. I summarized my points that I made in this video because I honestly I fucking lost my mind. I couldn't tell you what I've said in the last 20 minutes. AI is only ever gonna get better, so it's not like a fear AI thing, but just keep your head on your shoulders, be a bit smart about it, pay attention to it, see what it's doing, see what the development's doing, and whenever you hear motherfuckers give you time periods where they're like, especially if they're not in the AI stars field, like where like when you have like an artist who comes up and they're like, I think AI is gonna be able to do X, Y, Z in this length of time. Take the time that they give you. Say it's like, I mean, with the AI image thing, it was like 10 to 15 years we expect. Slice it in half. Okay, whatever time you start hearing people talk about where they're like, we think AI is gonna do this in X amount of time. Slice it in half, and that is probably the point where it's going to actually be able to do those things to a relatively decent level. It is a tool that moves at a terrifying rate, and you must keep that in mind. You know, you can't kind of let yourself dawdle and just go like, I've still got like a good 80 years before they get good at making video games, and every person in their home is just like, fucking make me the Elder Scrolls, and then they play like an AI version of that. Um, Unfortunately, we don't live in that reality, you know. Anyway, Yapatron over. I clicked the wrong fucking button. Give me a second. Alright, Yapatron over.